hoped the Reds would be arriving in good spirits for the second leg of this week's doubleheader with Wolves at Molineux, but Tuesday night was the same old story, wasn't it, as far as Arne Slot was concerned. Rob Edwards' team producing a late smash and grab that sees the home side head into tonight's cup clash brimming with confidence. We are here building up to Wolves versus Liverpool in the fifth round of the Emirates FA Cup. It kicks off at 8 o'clock. That is when we've got live audio commentary of all the action right here on LFC TV. All red video at the Match Centre as well. Welcome along to tonight's Matchday Live. Jason McAteer and Neil Mellor are in the studio with me looking ahead to tonight's game. We're with them very shortly. First, though, we will pay our very first visit to the West Midlands and Molineux. Rob Jones is there and he's got David James alongside him with all the Liverpool team news. Robert.
Becky, thank you very much. Good evening. Here we go again then at Molineux, just 3 days after Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Liverpool in the Premier League. Two teams who've lifted the FA Cup 12 times between them meet again this Friday night. And Arne Slot makes 4 changes for this fifth round tie this evening. 3 of them coming in defence as Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez and Andy Robertson all drop out of the team. Ugo Ekitike is on the bench too. So in come Andy Robertson, Joe Gomez, Curtis Jones and young Rio Ngamoa. The Liverpool team in full. It'll be Alisson making just his 11th appearance in the FA Cup in goal. A back 4, we think, although it's open to discussion, it might be Curtis Jones at right back. Virgil van Dijk, the only survivor from that defence on Tuesday night. He'll be partnered by Gomez, who is a second half substitute, and Andy Robertson, who scored here in the Premier League in September 2023 at left back. In front of that, Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister, and then in the 10 position maybe Dominic Szoboszlai, looking to become the first player since Luis Suarez in 2012 to score in 3 consecutive rounds of the FA Cup. Rio Ngamoa on one side for just his 5th senior start, Mo Salah on the other, with Cody Gakpo playing in a central. The good news for Liverpool is that Florian Wirtz is back on the bench tonight after his back injury. Mamadashvili, Kanate, Kerkez, Chiesa, Ekitike, Frimpong, Nioni and Morrison make up the replacements. David James is alongside me. Let's start with it then. Who do you think will be the right back? You think Curtis Jones?
I think Curtis Jones. I mean, the Wolves are going to make a lot of changes themselves, which obviously is going to, depending on where those changes are, the midfield might not be the same as what we had on Tuesday, but I think there needs to be, as we saw on Tuesday, more control in that midfield area, and you would imagine Dominic would be a better option than Curtis. I mean, I love Curtis in midfield, of course, but I think that would be the way that Arne would look at this.
It feels a case that you go for the person who's been the best player this season in that position is Dominic Szoboszlai. So why move him, basically?
Yeah. I mean, Dom's been playing extremely well lately in that position as well, hasn't he? So I think with the confidence, it would be easier for the team to have Dominic in the middle, Curtis playing out right. As we saw on Tuesday, this game could have a lot of spells of apparent inactivity, but you want your best players in the best positions, and I think Dom is that. Given
what you just said about inactivity, and I think that's a great word, because there did seem to be long spells where pretty much nothing happened, but yeah, that's an onus on someone like young Rio Ngamoa tonight, who starts for just the 5th time as a senior player, to just inject a bit of energy and excitement into the game and not let it drift for periods, because that is exactly what Wolves want.
Yeah. I mean, that first half was, I think it's fair to say, it was a little bit painful to watch. However, Rio has an opportunity here. There's been a big clamour for Rio to start a game. It's only his 5th start, and it's an opportunity for him to say to Arne Slot, you know, if you need me to start games in the Premier League, then I'm ready and capable. Wolves with Jose Sarr in goal if he plays.
But Johnson's playing tonight.
Johnson's playing, okay. Slightly different because Jose was annoyingly good the other night. But there's an opportunity, as I say, for Rio now to inject something into the game that we didn't see on Tuesday. And again, put a claim in for a possible start.
When you were a senior player in a dressing room and young players came into the team, what was the message? Was it go and approach it like it's a school game or an age group game?
I was a senior player in it depends what part of my career you're on about. There was an understanding that it's tough out there and you have to make young players grow into adults very quickly. That was the early days. I think towards the end of my career, there was an appreciation that you have to help these players through, and you just encourage them to be themselves. I think that's the difficulty. And Rio doesn't seem to have any lack of confidence. I think, if anything, giving him the start, what he'll learn as a player is how to prepare in a game. Given that the game on Tuesday was so close and everyone's fully aware of what happened, that his preparation for this game will be the best that it can be to prove that he's the guy that wants to be starting. So as a senior player, I'm saying go out there, do what you do normally, encourage them to show their skills, beat players and be the best version of himself.
A couple of words on the bench. Firstly, we were chatting just before we came down pitch side about games like this, and also the West Ham one, that someone to pick a lock. It's great to have Florian Wirtz back amongst the substitutes tonight. Yeah, and if things aren't going according to plan, then to have him come off the bench, I think because he's been in that sort of wave of form lately where he's been the key man. I mean, Dom's been fantastic, and a lot of people saying player of the season so far, Ekitike as well, but I think with Florian, he is now the man, or has been the man, which is getting Liverpool winning games of football. So if we need someone to just say to unpick the lock, I think Florian coming off the bench will be the man. But hopefully him getting game minutes today will be because Rio will have done what he needed to do at the start, and Liverpool are in a position where it's giving Wirtz minutes rather than getting him to turn the game around. Just a final word then about the subs and the one person we probably won't see tonight. Are you surprised? And I know that Alisson played in round 4 against Brighton, that it isn't a game for Mamardashvili, and if you were a reserve player of the sort of prestige that he has, would you be a little bit irked that you weren't playing? I think as long as the conversation has been had by the manager with the goalkeepers and everyone's on board with it, then it's not a problem. I think for Ali, more so than Mamardashvili, this is an important year for him with the World Cup coming up. And if I were Ali, I mean, going back to old school mentality, I would want to be playing every game just to make sure that I was going to be number one for my national team in that World Cup. So if the conversation's right, which I'd imagine it would be, then Mamardashvili's sitting there going, OK, I'm OK with this. If not a little bit frustrated because he wants to play every game as well. But like Florian Wirtz, or as I say, with Dom playing in midfield, Liverpool need their best players on the field. Ali's the best goalkeeper, and hopefully he'll be the best goalkeeper getting Liverpool through tonight. And, Mamardashvili sits there and says, fine. On the subject of Brazilians and being World Cup, Alisson will hope for a better night than Tuesday, where he was beaten by his fellow countryman Andre Leighton, albeit via a big deflection. Andre, one of 6 changes made by Rob Edwards, who's just behind us having a chat with another TV channel. We will take you through the Wolves team in more detail very shortly.
Thanks, lads. Rob Jones and David James looking very dapper down at Molineux tonight. Warm welcome to you two. In terms of playing this same team twice in 4 days, Jason, this game tonight was always going to be dictated, shall we say, by what happened on Tuesday, and the only thing to say is we have to see an improved performance tonight.
How can I answer that question? Yeah, I think the result has played a part in possibly team selection and emphasis of importance of the game tonight. I think had we won on, when was it, Tuesday?
Tuesday night, yeah.
Feels like because we lost, it feels like a mile away, doesn't it? If we'd have won on Tuesday, I think there might have been less emphasis to go on and win this game. I mean, Rob Edwards has made 6 changes, I think Rob's just said there, hasn't he? So, in essence, we are playing a different team, but we are at the same place. And I think there's been, probably an importance now. I just feel since the defeat, the negativity is ramped up again. And I'm disappointed with it, really, because I thought we were in a good space. Never thought we were going to go to the end of the season being beaten. Arguably we've been beaten by the bottom, and there's a lot of questions to be asked. I understand that, but it does happen in football, and we would have learnt a lot of lessons. But I think because we've been beaten, I think the FA Cup now takes an importance, and I think he's gone strong. There has been 1 or 2 changes, I think, because of Tuesday up and coming against Galatasaray, but it's still a very strong team that should win tonight.
Yeah, Jason's right. When we look at the picture as a whole of the last few weeks, Mels, before this defeat, it was 6 wins out of 7. I think maybe the issue is this game was kind of a situation that we've seen a fair few times, and a story that's panned out in quite a few games, where specifically the start was quite slow, and then of course conceding late on as well.
Yeah, it was a performance that was disappointing. The result was disappointing as well, and now the lads have got a chance to respond and react to that very, very quickly. I have to say, I always thought the FA Cup was going to be a competition we went for. So regardless of the result on Tuesday, I thought we'd go strong. because the Champions League game isn't until Tuesday. So I thought, regardless of how that game ended, I didn't expect too many changes. I expected just 3 or 4, which is what we've seen tonight, of players who could start anyway, rather than perhaps players who haven't had that game time, like in a Barnsley game sort of thing. So, yeah, I expected that strong lineup. I think, like Jace mentioned about sort of Wolves, it's disappointing because Wolves were bottom of the league, the result, but they've actually had a couple of good results before that. So, in terms of timing, when 3 or 4 weeks ago playing Wolves would have been completely different to playing Wolves when we did on Tuesday. They've got a decent result against Arsenal, decent result against Villa, and all of a sudden there's that renewed belief they weren't going to be the worst team ever in the Premier League. They've got over that points barrier, and you could see that in the performance. They stayed in the game. We didn't play well. They got the opening goal and ultimately have a huge slice of luck to get the winning goal.
Great point Mel's makes, because we spoke about it at length. Sorry, it was Peter, wasn't it, presenting, but we spoke about it at length the other night. The psychological battle for Wolves has kind of gone, you know, having to stay in the Premier League. You know, they've still got the opportunity, the pressure was mounting, the stress, the anxiety, and in the end they just capitulated. And it's kind of like now, it's kind of like, well, they resigned the fact that we probably are going down. You know, there's less pressure on them. The games, you know, are important at Molineux. They want to give the fans something. And like Mel said, they're in a good space. They've taken points off Villa. They've now taken points off Liverpool. You know, if you look at the season, they've taken points off the top 3 when we played them the other night. You know, they can be a dangerous outfit when they want to. In all honesty, when you look at the team lined up, I'm really surprised to see them bottom of the table with that amount of points.
Have said that this week,
it's just the way it's gone for them this season. But I do feel the psychological factor is they're playing with a bit of freedom, and that freedom is starting to come out in the performances, hence why they're getting positive results.
I thought that was a big factor, the fact that everybody was saying you're going to be the worst ever team in the Premier League. And I don't know if you saw the reaction from the manager, Rob Edwards, after they beat Villa. He's kicking the board in, because psychologically they got over that barrier. I know, and like you're saying about the freedom, we can relax a little bit more. And we saw that in the performance against us.
Yeah, they've certainly got momentum at the moment. Speaking of momentum, let's take a look at this graphic here, which shows that the momentum in that game at Molineux on Tuesday night. So to try and explain this, that the bigger the peak, the greater the chance of scoring, Jason. There's hardly any Wolves on that graphic. No major points really where Liverpool are not in control, albeit they're not doing enough with it.
It's a good graphic, actually, and we were talking off camera. There's an article in The Athletic today which, you know, it talks about, 29 league games now we've had, and it analyses, you know, why we're kind of in this position and why people are asking questions. For me, that graphic, what it says is the first half and what that signifies. Now, the article today, you know, went on to say, you know, Liverpool have only scored 3 goals in the first 20 minutes of games. They're slow starters. They work their way into the games. They don't create enough chances, and you know, inevitably they can go behind and it becomes an uphill battle. That's all part of the factor of why we're talking about the negativity around things at the minute. You know, they do come alive in the second half. There is a lot of performances this season have been better second half. And again, that signifies it. What you want to see is a consistent peaks, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, but consistent. You don't really want to see slow, and then the second half responding. It's kind of like, you know, a lot of people are wanting Liverpool to come out the blocks flying. It's something that they have struggled with this season. And, you know, that graph, for me, that's what that spells out.
And it also says there's only one team trying to win the game there.
Yeah.
You know, Wolves ultimately sat back. We had control of the game. We had good possession. Good areas of the pitch, but we didn't create those moments to take them chances. You get the first goal there, maybe it might have opened up a little bit more. They stayed in the game, didn't create a lot. They scored with the first shot they had. And again, that's a frustration. What is it, 78th minute of the game?
Minutes,
so again, that adds to the frustration because we've seen so much of the ball. We had that big chance with Curtis to have taken the lead. We didn't take that chance. And then we were chasing it. It really did open up in the closing stages.
The problem with the game the other night, I didn't think the first half was particularly good. I thought we were wasteful in some really good areas. I think we worked it through the lines well at times. I thought we got it wide numerous times and were really wasteful. First man overplaying the cross. You know, it wasn't a good watch, to be honest.
They defended the box well. They did
you know, you can't just be critical of Liverpool. You know, there's a team they're playing against who have a game plan and can defend well, and they did that at times. But you know, we talk about, again, I go back to this article because it was full of facts. Liverpool had the ball in possession round the back for 55 seconds. It was slow and pedestrian. This is what I'm saying about the first half. They need to speed things up and be more dynamic. Get Salah on the ball higher. That's another argument. What I was going to say, though, is the last 20 minutes of the game, that's what disappointed me most. It disappointed me. Listen, the first half really did disappoint me, but the last 20 minutes, for all the experience and the quality that Liverpool have got, it turned into a basketball match against bottom of the league. Now, it was like two heavyweights throwing punches. Someone was going to get sucker punched, and it was Liverpool. They didn't manage the 20 minutes. They just didn't manage that final 20 minutes and ended up getting done. You know, I'd rather have taken a point than do what they
and
did.
We've said that a few times this season,
just
haven't
that
we?
game management. It's just got to be sorted out.
Well, let's have a look at the side that Arne Slot has chosen for tonight's game with Wolves in the FA Cup this time, of course. 4 changes, Neil, it is. There's a few talking points here. First up, who will be at right back? You might have heard David James say he thinks Curtis Jones. Is that your thought as well?
Don't know. It's going to be Curtis Jones or Szoboszlai, yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they start up. I'd like to see...
pick one.
Curtis Jones. I agree with JMO. I've not often said that ever. But the other change being in the back four is obviously Joe Gomez. I did honestly feel as though it would either be Salah or Ekitike to have a breather tonight. Because if you look at the schedule that Liverpool have got come up, the amount of games, the Champions League's around the corner, you can't keep asking them to play every single game. At some point, one of them needs a breather. So Ekitike has that breather tonight. Gakpo can go down the middle. There's been a lot of people asking for Rio Engamoa to get that opportunity. He's come off the bench in the last few games and really excited, created chances. Now he's got a chance from the start. In his preferred position out on the left, Salah on the right, Gakpo down the middle. And you think it would probably be McAllister and Szoboszlai to give that support rather than Curtis Jones at right back. But what do you think, Szoboszlai right back or Curtis?
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I think you summed it up there. I think Curtis Jones right back, Szoboszlai in the middle of the park. Again, Mel's right, Rio Engamoa will be on the left. It'll be a difficult night for him in the sense of, he's come on. When I say difficult, it'll be difficult if he makes it difficult, if the team make it difficult, the performance makes it difficult. And what I mean by that is, if Liverpool start well and press high and win possession and their territory is in the final third of Wolves, we could see a really dynamic display from him. But if it's like we've seen where it's laboured and we're working our way into the game, he could be picking the ball up on the halfway line and all of a sudden we're looking at not an impact player.
Yeah, well, there's such a difference between starting a game and coming on against legs that are tiring in 70, 80 minutes,
and
which is what he's been restricted to so far, isn't it? Yeah.
Listen, he's a talented young man, and he's actually playing with like an old head on young shoulders sometimes. Some of the stuff he's done, like there, he's picked the right ball, you just stand it up, he's beat his man, lovely little step over to get the yard there, and then lovely little dink. The amount of times we say dink it, just set it up, and he's gone and done that there. I think, listen, there's been a lot of call for him to play, hasn't it? I think without the ball, I don't think you can trust him as much because of his inexperience. There's a lot to learn for the way that the manager wants to play. He probably would suit a Jurgen Klopp team a bit more than an Arne Slot, but he's going to learn. He's young, he's going to learn. He's going to learn his responsibilities off the ball. It's not all about having it, but when he's got it, he's a danger, he's a threat.
Well, here's one. You were a fullback. Yeah. I reckon Robbo will be in his hero game. I think Andy Robertson, with the experience he's got, will be shouting at him and sort of encouraging him and being that sort of manager on the pitch to really help him when he needs help to come back defensively. So I think that will be a big help, having Andy Robertson behind, because of that leadership, the talking.
I think that's why.
Maybe. But
it's a good point.
I do think it will help, but that's the defensive side of it. But what I'm looking forward to seeing is this. He is so exciting 1v1 at getting at the full-back and trying to commit. And at times tonight he'll lose the ball, but he'll try and make something happen. And he may well make that one chance. 15, 20 minutes into the game, it's the opening goal. Things just change completely. So I'm excited to see him.
What impresses me about him is decision-making. He very rarely gets it wrong.
Yeah, for someone so young.
Doesn't
turn 18 till August, so...
Yeah, he often finds the right ball with the right pass appreciation. He'll roll it for the first time cross. You've just seen him there zip one into the feet there, first touch and then shot. His little step overs, he knows what he wants to do. He's trying to find an angle. Again, we see another clip which we've just seen there where he stands it up. That's the right decision. He's very good in that final third at making the right decision.
OK, thanks both. The boss was very frustrated, wasn't he, with the recurring themes on Tuesday night. He will be hoping for a complete change in fortunes this evening. Here is Arne Slot.
A game which was not so difficult to analyse. A lot of ball possession for us without being able to create a lot of chances. Not for the first time this season. That has happened to us. But enough chances, because I watch quite a lot of football, to win the game. which we didn't win the game, of course, but we didn't convert it into goals. And then also not for the first time this season, maybe their first shot on target, I'm not sure, but the first attack they had led to a goal. And that was also the moment when we started to realize, okay, maybe we have to bring even more than we did before. And from that moment onwards, we generated quite a lot of chances from the ball possession we had. Scored, missed a few others, and then as so many times this season in extra time, a shot from outside the box, which in this situation was deflected, went in, and then you go away with a loss. And that was hard to take, but we are one day before another very important game for us. So we've analyzed it. We know we have to be better. We always found every game we play very important, and we always find every trophy we can win very important. So last season we tried to win 4, and this season we tried to win 4 as well, but 2 are not possible anymore, the Premier League and the League Cup. So the other 2 where we are in, we try to win it, as we've always tried at this club. And of course for us, qualification for Champions League is massive, as we all know. But the FA Cup is on the line, and that's a massive game for us.
On Tuesday night, one thing you said was same old story, and I know that was specific to certain events in the game, but I'm just wondering, aside from set pieces in recent weeks, where do you see the progress being made this season?
No, I think you see individual players getting better and better, but progress has had setbacks because of injuries as well. I think one of the players we are having that is able to create a lot from open play is Florian Wirtz, and unfortunately he got injured 3 games ago. And before that he was able to create a lot. The team had a certain balance, and then we had to adjust to it again. So that has happened a lot to us this season. But I think there were periods of time this season where we conceded a lot of goals and also quite a lot of counter-attacks. Now against Wolves, who were playing also in that style, we only conceded 1 counter-attack, which immediately led to a goal. But I see improvement over there compared to the start of the season. But bringing from all the ball possession, bringing in more chances. In some games I've seen improvement, Burnley at home or some others. But not all the games have brought us that. But again, I watched football again a lot yesterday evening, and we are not the only team that finds it hard to create a lot of chances from open play. It is also the Premier League and the opposition we face and other teams face as well. It's the quality of the league that makes it more and more complicated to generate a lot of chances.
Yeah, the boss facing some tough questions in this week's press conference, but as always, handling them very well indeed. After a defeat, I guess it's always good to have a game quickly because you want to get out there and put it right, don't you? Is it more difficult, Mels, because it's the same team, or because that disappointment is so fresh? Is that a motivating factor, maybe?
I think that's maybe personal. I think personally for me, I don't know what Jace would think, but if I'm going back to the same place where I've just been beaten, can't wait. We'll put it right. We'll put it right, and I'm expecting the players to talk about that. I'm expecting the management to talk about that. Right, we were here a few days ago. We did not enjoy that experience. Make sure we enjoy it. We put it right today. So in a way, it does help. The fact that the game comes around so quickly, and it is the same for Wolves as well. Yes, they'll be on a high. They'll be confident, but for us, it's a case of no. We need to put that right, and that's why I think we'll see a reaction. What I would say as well, and it was a disappointing result, the outcome being beaten by Wolves. Look at how we've responded to defeats since November. Now, we had our tough time in November, didn't we? We lost a few games in a row. We haven't had back-to-back defeats since then. And there has been the odd defeat here and there, but the lads have always responded well to that. I think of the City defeat at Anfield, which was a late one. We go to Sunderland, we win the game, we respond well. There's been other ones as well. So, again, I'm confident tonight that whether it was at Wolves or whether it was somewhere else, there would be that desire. lads, we don't get back-to-back defeats, we will have that reaction.
That was a good quality of Jurgen's, to be honest. You've very, very seen back-to-back defeats under Jurgen's tenure. And I don't like keep going back to Jurgen, but he set the benchmark, to be honest. And,
but do you feel as though it's changed from November? I'm saying about November.
No, what I'm saying is yeah, you know, that is true, that has happened, and it doesn't happen by chance. You know, you go on long unbeaten runs, and then you'll lose a game, but you get straight back on it. You know, whatever he's saying in the dressing room, he's getting a response, which is a good thing. You know, today, you know, you read in the newspaper, I think it was Virgil's come out and said the manager
read the newspaper a few times today.
I read a lot, Mells. I read a lot. It's called prep. Yeah, you know, he mentioned how the manager come in really disappointed with his players on Tuesday night, and you know, he raised his voice, I think would be the right phrase of putting it. And you know, that's nice to see. That's nice to hear. That's nice to know that goes on in that dressing room, that the manager now walks in and points fingers and raises his voice, because it was needed. But it goes back to what Mel said. You know, I think as a manager and a leader, you've got to have that presence, and your voice has got to be heard. But also, they've got to respond, the players, and from November, it seems to have been the case. So I would thoroughly expect it.
I can't think of too many times, Mike, I don't know about you, when you've gone to the same place in such short time. Feels a bit unusual, that.
I think it's only the 7th time that it's happened to Liverpool
season.
Anyway.
We do Newcastle last season, played the League Cup, and then
the League Cup's obviously two-legged, but
does that not count?
That doesn't count. You can't have that.
They play the same team twice. That was the question.
That happens most seasons, does it? No, there's very few times.
So does my Newcastle not count then?
Well, not a two-legged thing.
Not in 3 days. That's not 3 days. That's a week.
Yeah, it's longer as well.
Well, it's back-to-back games against Newcastle.
It's not 3 days.
Is that what you mean?
Shall we move on and speak about Florian Wirtz, because we haven't had a chance to talk about him yet. He's on the bench, Mel's. The boss did say in his press conference, probably only a few minutes at best tonight, but it's good news not only for tonight, but for Galatasaray as well.
Well, massive boost. Yeah, I think we've missed him, obviously, for the Forest game. Didn't really miss him against West Ham because we could have had 8 goals in that game, but he's a real creative influence. I felt as though he was having a real good moment in the team. He was developing that relationship. I thought Salah was benefiting, Ekitike, Gakpo, Szoboszlai. I felt as though he was playing with a number of those players, linking up really well. What I'm pleased about is, between now and the end of the season, there's a lot left to play for. The FA Cup, the Champions League, we obviously want a top 3 finish as well. I think he'll be central to that, and it's about keeping him fit. I don't know what the injury was. I hope it's a case of we don't need to see him tonight, and that come that game against Galatasaray, he could be the difference, because what a player he is.
Yeah,
I agree. You know, he's been missed. Listen, he started to find his feet, hasn't he? And he's starting to affect games, and you know, he's starting to show what he comes to the football club for. Really influential on the ball, sees different things. I think players have got up to his speed, to be honest. It's always been there. He's a naturally gifted, talented player, and I think it was always up to the other players to get on his wavelength. I think Ekitike's done it quicker than most, to be honest. That relationship is really blossoming. But yeah, he has been missed. It couldn't have been too bad. He's on the bench tonight. I'd like to see him for 10 or 15 minutes just to run just to get things going again, because he's going to be needed in Turkey. It's going to be a volatile place to go. Liverpool are going to need to dominate possession, and he'll be key to that.
Yeah, we might see him at some point in the second half, Florian Wirtz. Right, for now it's time for viewers on social media to leave us, but our Matchday Live build-up continues right here on LFC TV and or Red Video 2. If you are not yet a subscriber of either of those, head to liverpoolfc.com/watch right now for all the details on how you can sign up. And there's plenty more to come pre-match. Coming up, we will hear from Ryan Gravenberch. At kick-off, Steve Hunter and David Thompson will guide you through all the action with our live audio commentary service. Then, come full-time, Tomo will head into the studio to join Jason to assess all the goings-on down at Molineux. As ever, that post-match show will also be available to listen to in the reaction later on, the club's official podcast. You can watch the full game on LFC TV tonight from midnight. And Mel's here will be back on Monday with in-depth analysis from